best team, I think, all year round. It's been quite a...
Bringing home that Big Ten trophy, that would be sweet.
Some of those teams that maybe are historically good aren't having good seasons, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles for some of these coaches. Welcome back. Episode 10. We made it to 10 in 2025. We're here at the Mitchell Pehlke Lacrosse Show on the Lacrosse Network. Another jam-packed episode with our first Buckeye, Big Tasty Hawk. You guys know him. Ohio State's having a great year. Their goalie, along with Mitch's Mailbox, start, bench, cut, and another huge week for college lacrosse. Hoagie, how are we feeling? We're talking to a future Buckeye here in a second. How you doing?
Good, dude. I'm good. It's nice to have a Buckeye on here. I think first official interview, we had Trey on at the PLL Championship. But First real one-on-one interview with Big Tasty. Great dude. Obviously, we knew him from, he was in the recruiting process when we were there, Mitch, and then seeing him at Alumni Week in the last 2 years. Definitely a character, funny dude, great dude. So I can't wait to see what he has to say, because some of the clips I see, the one against Penn State where he was like, I like that shot. Keep shooting it. He's talking. He's juiced. And He's one-on-one. I love Tasty. So
yeah, he is one-of-one. So I'm excited. Kev, Dukes, how we feeling?
Good, Mitch. Ready to get started. Media member Mitch, by the way.
Yes.
Broadcaster
And again,
Mitch.
we're going to have to tell Tasty firsthand, hey, we picked Notre Dame, and you got to own that. As Nick Myers, the beloved coach for Hoagie and I, said, you got to point the thumb, not the finger, and we'll have to own up to it. So stay tuned for that. Dukes,
when are you breaking out the suit, though, on the show, man?
I'm broadcasting the Ohio State versus Michigan game, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah. Oh, that's going to be like pretty weird.
Oh, look at the Pelkinator. I like that. Come on. Gosh, Dukes, how you doing, though? Everything good up
dude.
north?
Yeah, dude. The team up north. Shout out to them. You were broadcasting there this weekend. You look good you look good with the Michigan in the background right there.
It was. I'll talk to Tasty about this. It felt weird saying the word Michigan. It still does every time I say it. And you obviously can't be a homer on national television. And, at the end of the day, it kind of is what it is. But, media member. Mitchell Pehlke
Mitch called me on Friday.
I had to have a little red in there, Kev. You saw
exactly.
it.
Yep.
Mitch called me on Friday and was like, dude, he was like walking around Ann Arbor. He was like, dude, like, this is just the weirdest thing. I see Michigan block M's everywhere, dude.
Really
I was
weird. Like just people I think it felt like Ohio State a little bit. They have Main Street, we have High Street, the bars and restaurants on one street. And I'm like walking, like not thinking I'm there. And then I look to my left and right and people are rocking the Michigan maize and blue. I'm like, what am I doing? I gotta get out of here.
I like Ann Arbor. Yeah. Great spot.
It was nice though. It's really a lot nicer than I imagine. Obviously, when Hoagie and I played there, we're kind of in the hotel to the stadium, and then we're out of there. So we didn't get to experience it, but it is a pretty cool.
Yeah, love it.
Sweet. Well, let's dive in. Another crazy week of college lacrosse. Let's start out with Army over UNC, which didn't expect to say. But now we're here, a 13-12 win Dukes with the Army aspect this whole year two of MPLS. You take it away.
Yeah, I mean, I had Army in this game. I think I was the only one on the panel that picked them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were.
Yeah, coming off that loss to BU, I still think that coming away from that game, I still thought the same thing of Army, especially with their backs against the wall. Very talented team. I think possibly the best defense in the country. I think Sean Burns playing like the best goalie in the country if you're going to accumulate all the weeks that he's played. He's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, they I wouldn't say shocked. I don't know if shocked would be the word that I had for North Carolina. I feel like these are two evenly matched teams. I'd put them right in that 5 to 9 range. Hoagie, do you feel the same way about them?
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I mean, this is the second straight year that Army's actually beaten North Carolina. They got them last year down in Chapel Hill. For me, I mean, Alberici had those boys fired up. You knew tough loss last week to Boston. You should have known better, all of us, to Coach A to really have them ready to go. And like Duke said, the defense is strong. Sean Byrne is awesome. And then even the offense with Plunkett and everyone else, they looked really good. My thing was at the end, I mean, that North Carolina offense in the last 30 seconds, I still don't know what exactly they were doing. They acted like it was the first quarter of that game, slowing the ball down. They didn't even get a shot off in the last 30 seconds of that game. So, no, I think it was, an awesome bounce back from Army. I guess we'll see moving forward how much that helps them. They got Colgate this weekend, and Colgate clipped them last year. So, right back on the wagon. I saw a clip of Army today, and Coach A was like, most important game's the next game, and then after that, it's the next game. So I think they'll be focused. They'll be ready to go. Great bounce back, and I think it tells you what kind of team Army really is.
I think, I want to come in here real quick. If you were to get one pop-up speech from any Division I coach, I think Coach A is at least top 3. I mean, I could potentially have him at 1 just with the juice he would bring. Do you guys agree?
I think you'd have to put him. I'm trying to think in my mind. I feel like Danowski doesn't get enough credit for how juiced he could get guys. I feel like he could deliver a speech that made me want to run through a wall.
Yeah. Alberici had a good clip that was up today. It was the post-game speech, but he's basically telling him, got to flush it, which is, I think, awesome because he said the same thing after the BU loss. But while we're on the topic of pregame speeches, did any of you see, I'm not going to go long on this because we had to take it down, but did any of you see the video that was on TLN for about an hour yesterday?
No, what happened?
No.
All right. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. It was going super viral for about an hour, but we had to take it down. My takeaway from it, Dukes, you said they might be the best defense. I don't know if they're the best defense. They're definitely the scariest defense. And I think they got some absolute dogs. AJ Pilot is an absolute dog. He had the hit against Owen Duffy to close that game out with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And their short stick defensive midi, Christian Mazer, is an absolute animal. That guy's an unleashed animal. He needs to be in a cage, I think, when they're not playing. And I'm telling you, if you're out there and you're watching, you know the video, you know. But yeah, I can't go into a lot of detail about it. But it was a pregame speech, we'll say.
I think I saw it. I'm going to have to get this on the side at some point because I think I know exactly what you're talking about, but my brain's not functioning that well right now. I do want to say, though, I do think that it is a two-team race for the best defense in the country. I do think in my heart of hearts, it's either Army or it's Maryland. Ohio State, very close. But I do think that Maryland and Army are a little bit levels above people. Fyock, Big Tasty, we had him on. I think that what McNaney brings to the table is just a different level of experience in the Big Ten play. And I think Sean Byrne is just playing lights out right now.
Yeah, he is. And also, shout out Jackson Eicher. 7-point banger.
Yeah.
A kid from Nova, too. Let's not forget. All the greats are from Nova. I'm just going to put that one out there quick. But he's been playing great. And
TLM Player of the Week.
TLM Player of the Week. I think tore his ACL, something knee aspect a year or two ago. People kind of counted him out. And now he's coming back, and he's been a big, obviously, focal point of that team.
I think a key thing moving forward, too, with Army, obviously defense is so strong, but the question mark still is, what's Will Coletti's deal? We don't know the extent of his injury. Is he out for the year? Is he going to come back later on? That's a huge question mark moving forward. Obviously, we know how good of a player he is. Has not really played much this year other than the first couple games. So they have Robert Simone, who's done fine and done well, but I think that's a key down the line, not knowing what Coletti is for Army.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, at the end of the day, like I talked about on the broadcast, but the biggest thing you want as a coach is for your team to be healthy at this point. We'll have Tasty on. Our coach, Hoagie, knows it's always there's 2 seasons inside the spring. There's the first game to the last non-conference play, and then there's conference play. And again, I was broadcasting the Michigan game. 2 guys I studied, Nick Rude and Jack Jenkins, thought they were going to play. Both of those guys were out. And the amount of guys on injured reserve for Michigan, there's so many. And that's what it's going to come down to is what guys are going to be healthy and what the team looks like.
Especially in conference play. I mean, we're looking at Army right now. If they get injured at this time, this is when they need to win. Because do you guys think that they still have to win the Patriot League to get into the tournament?
I think most likely yes. Unless some stuff goes their way with other teams kind of losing and push themselves out. Let's say like a Duke has a bad ACC season, or UNC, one of those two maybe doesn't have a great ACC play. Or even the Big Ten, if Penn State continues to fall out and it's all right, look, it's probably going to be Ohio State and Maryland in, and then maybe a third of Michigan or whatever. I think they can sneak in, but I don't think they can guarantee that. They got to win the Patriot League if they really want to be sure on Selection Sunday.
Yeah, and an important thing to remember is they beat UNC at Chapel Hill by the exact same score last year and got left out. I know that a win over UNC this year looks better than a win over UNC last year, but I would also argue that an ACC win last year was probably worth more than an ACC win this year is. I think what ended up killing them last year was the Colgate loss during the regular season. I think if they can go the rest of the way to the regular season and make it to at least the Patriot League championship game, I think they could get in and be good without winning that game.
I do.
But again, it goes to how everything else shuffles out.
It completely goes to how everything shuffles out, and I do agree with you. If they lose to the highest rated RPI team in the Patriot League and the Patriot League championship, I think they could end up fine. But you just don't know anything before that. I think they're out.
I think one
stinks.
thing I would say with Army too, moving forward, schedule wise, I think they need to start scheduling a much tougher out of conference schedule. I know they played Yale this year. I know they played Rutgers, and it's not their fault that Yale and Rutgers are not that strong, but they also played Mercer and UMass, and I know UMass is top 20, but that RPI win is not going to get you in the tournament late in the year. The Patriot League has so many, out of conference, the school like Maryland, right? All 5 Big Ten games are a grind of a game. Plus, they play all those crazy out of conference games. So there's really no excuse for Army to boost their schedule up, showing in years past that it's basically been Patriot League championship or bust is what the data has shown us with Army. So you might as well just stack your whole out of conference schedule. Even if you went 0-5 against ACC and Big Ten schools, you're not getting in anyway, most likely, unless you win your conference. So RPR wise, yeah, sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's a great point because last year I also forgot they played Syracuse and beat them. They had 2 ACC wins. Where did that game go on?
It's because it drags them down because their conference doesn't give them the daily RPI boost that they get every week. You play a Bucknell, a Holy Cross, a Lafayette. Those games are almost the easy quote unquote games when you see the ACC schools play out of conference teams that are lesser, that they're, it's a free win, like when Duke plays a Providence, etc. So I think if I'm Coach A moving forward, I'm scheduling a gauntlet out of conference, being like, look, if we can pick off 5 games out of conference against elite Big Ten, ACC, Ivy League schools, even if we go 2-3, we give ourselves a chance because the way that they're scheduling right now, they're basically Patriot League champs or bust because of the RPI within their conference is not going to be as strong. They're not going to have those wins to get them higher up if they do stumble.
I think also just going off like the scheduling factor of everything. Look at Maryland's schedule. I mean, sorry, not Maryland. Look at Michigan's schedule. They have a tough non-con. I was actually talking to someone last week because they didn't like when I said that Michigan is built to win the Big Ten and play in the Big Ten, not win national championships. And they were like, no, like look at what they've done this year. They've competed. Michigan hasn't beaten an ACC team since 2018. They're 6-4 right now. Ohio State's 10-1, right? Lost to Utah. And it's just the way the RPI works. This isn't a shot at Ohio State at all. On the RPI right now, Ohio State 12. Michigan at 6-4 with given their schedule. They're 11. They're ahead of Ohio State right now.
What's Hopkins at right now? I don't think theirs is good. Yeah, because you look at Hopkins' schedule. I know we're kind of going off topic here, but we all talked about in the beginning, episode 1 or 2, that they have probably the hardest schedule. But the games that they've won and kind of those big teams aren't that good this year. Denver, Georgetown, some of those teams that maybe are historically good aren't having good seasons, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles for some of these coaches.
RPI is everything, is what we've learned in this sport. If your RPI is not high, it's going to kill you come May. And whether you like it or not, sometimes the results on the field don't matter as much as we like. If you're computer ranking, you'll see teams who are 8-6 at the end of the year, and they're 6th in the RPI, and they're like a lock for the tournament. You're like, how are they a lock for the tournament? Because of their RPI, because of their strength of schedule, because of who they play. So I don't know. I think obviously the Big Ten and ACC schools have done it for years. They're going to get the automatic big RPI games just because of their conference, but they also schedule a ton of out of conference games that make it tough for them as well. Because there's no downside to tough scheduling in college lacrosse. Yeah. People want to talk about in football, oh, you want to have an easy schedule. If you go undefeated, you're in the college football playoff. Don't worry about playing anyone. Opposite in lacrosse. Stack your schedule as much as possible
because go through the gauntlet.
It doesn't matter if you lose those. You got to go through the gauntlet if you want to be there in May.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out to Ohio State. Just from the projections right now, it looks like if they just win one more game, they're in.
Wow. Yeah, that's sick.
It skyrockets.
That's
like
huge.
If they go, they're 88% right now, and they're at 41% if they stay at 10 wins.
Yeah, if they get this Hopkins
11,
win,
80.
I think they're pretty safe. If they get this Hopkins win, so
if they get any of the next 3,
yeah.
God, that's so sick. Yeah. And we got Big Tasty on later, and we'll ask him. Michigan obviously won the Big Ten tournament last year on Ohio State's field, and we're going to ask him, this year the Buckeyes could win, and it's at Ann Arbor, so kind of roles reversed. That's going to be exciting. But let's keep it going. Notre Dame over Duke. This is one I didn't expect. I think I picked Duke, but Notre Dame looks good, and there's still like a huge question mark in my eyes.
Mitch, is there ever a game you expect? That's
Not
like you
really.
lead everyone like, no, we didn't expect this one.
Well, Mitch,
I didn't though, because Notre Dame, it's the same reason why we picked Notre Dame over Ohio State. I didn't know what to expect, and I think too at the same time, Notre Dame week in week out, I feel like you don't know what team you're going to get.
But I think they're starting to hit their stride. Yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, they are. They're playing 100%. But I just felt like you really have no idea what to expect with this team. It just, if they're clicking, they're clicking. But if not, it's like, who knows?
I think Dukes mentioned this a couple weeks ago, but like it was just like I'm keeping an eye on Jake Taylor. I feel like you can tell how good Notre Dame is offensively by how good Jake Taylor looks, and he came off season high, 5 goals, 2 assists in this game, and Kavanaugh got him the ball twice. They're just passing the ball better, and they're initiating more from their offense. By the way, they're 2-0 since they put Devin McClain in the starting lineup at attack. So. Again, you're welcome.
Legend.
Didn't he play attack though in the Ohio State game?
He did play attack, but he didn't start. Brock Behrman started that game.
Right. I mean, I think Ohio State, it's going to be tough to say this, especially just given how hot Ohio State is. But if you ask me at the current form, who I think the most like talented team, best team right now, peaking, Notre Dame, it's going to be a tough argument to get me to sway any other way. Their offense is absolutely firing. I think their defense was actually a bigger concern than we were letting on in the beginning of the year. The goaltending was there. No problem with the goaltending. But the actual defensive unit, I think they lost more key pieces than they thought. So I think Notre Dame's peaking at the right time.
Yeah,
they also won that game without Sean Light. Sean Light didn't play.
Right.
Yeah, it was at the beginning of the year, like you said. I think now the offense is finally clicking and they got the right pieces in the right spots. I think at first a little bit of shuffling, and they start later in the season than most teams. Obviously, they start usually week 3 compared to everyone else. So they were still kind of working out those kinks. And, against the Cleveland State, you can go out there and have problems and still win by 10 goals. So the Ohio State game was really their first real test outside. And they definitely learned from that besides the Maryland game. But for me, the Duke was just concerning on so many levels. I mean, I know we don't think they're in that upper elite tier, and we might not even think they're championship weekend contenders. But, I mean, after getting blown out by a subpar Denver team a week prior, you thought they'd come out a little better than this to then drop another 7-goal loss. I mean, Duke for me is just same story every year with them. It seems like they have all the talent in the world, but that the team just doesn't play together. They don't play up to the potential. So
yeah, I'm not saying I will never. I think Danowski's as safe as he can ever be, and there's no hot seat for Danowski Sr. But I see some chatter about the offensive situation and the offensive coordinator, his son Matt, legend himself, one of the best players ever put on a Duke jersey. Since he's become the offensive coordinator, it's not like they've made this huge jump. If he's the coach in waiting, I mean, I think that Duke is fine. So I'm not saying anything, but I think that people could start putting an eye on that. You see with Iowa football, Ferenc, he had his son as the offensive coordinator. Didn't work out. They had to can him. So this is something that I'm monitoring because you're right. Like if you're Duke and you have all this talent, like in lacrosse, when you're Duke and you get all these top recruits, it's pretty easy to just throw them onto the field and go get an 8-9 win season. But you're supposed to be competing for championships. They're kind of just getting to quarterfinals, Final Fours. The fact that they didn't win anything with Brendan O'Neill, I still think is a travesty.
Yeah, and Duke is the team, too, of the transfer portal era who capitalized on getting the transfers that they wanted, but then didn't actually capitalize and have any hardware to show for it. They were one of the main players in the transfer portal era, getting guys like Sowers, even this year getting a guy like Maliver, and so many more throughout the year, pieces that they've added through the portal, and they've done nothing with it. So for them to have the talent that they have, had Brendan O'Neill, who's the most generational player, the LeBron James of lacrosse in terms of recruits, and then didn't even get a national championship with him or the transfers they brought in, it's going to start to raise questions. Like you said, Dukes, you're not putting Danowski on the hot seat, but why does it seem like every single year the talent's there, but they just don't play as a team? They're a bunch of individuals, and they just go out there and do their own thing. And talent's going to win you games against lesser opponents, but it's not going to win you the games against Notre Dame. It's not going to win you multiple games on Memorial Day weekend.
Dukes, you said something a couple minutes ago that made me think you would put Notre Dame number 1 in all of college right now. Hoagie, I saw your top 20. I think you have Maryland number 1, right?
Yeah, I still have
I feel like you can make an argument for 4 teams, Maryland, Cornell, Ohio State, or Notre Dame. And to me, this is how it goes. Like Maryland and Ohio State have consistently hit their ceiling this year. Cornell has a higher ceiling and hits it most of the time, but we saw against Penn State, they didn't hit it there. And then Notre Dame has the highest ceiling of all of them, and they haven't hit it yet. Curious what you guys think, who you guys have as your number 1 team right now.
I think I'll take this one off the top. I think if you're going to go from a full sample size, the best team I think all year round has been Cornell.
Interesting.
Best team.
Yeah.
I think it's Cornell. If you're going to ask me who I would take to win the national championship today, who am I most confident on making it to Final Four weekend, I will go with Notre Dame.
Wow, okay.
There's an argument for a lot. I mean, for me, Maryland's the best team in the country, in my opinion. I think Maryland's body of work, I think the mix of, the veteran of McNaney and kind of his experience, that team, and the emergence of Eric Spanos has been amazing to watch too. He went from a glorified role player at the beginning of the year to their stud QB1 guy. So Maryland to me is a team I have no doubt is going to be playing on Memorial Day Monday. I think if they're not playing on Championship Monday, I'd genuinely be shocked. But Ohio State also has a lot of upside. But like you said, I think they're playing their best ball now, so they need to kind of keep that going forward. They can't lose a little pep in their step. Notre Dame is only going to get better, and they've only looked better each week. My one concern with Cornell, and I think they've looked awesome, their offense is explosive, is just I question how battle tested they are at the end of the year, in terms of readiness week in, week out. I feel like they haven't been challenged very much at all, and even in the games that they have been, it hasn't been to the top of the opponents. And I think that's one of the things why I trust Maryland and even like a Notre Dame or Ohio State more. It's just Maryland. Not only are they going to be there with Tills, but I think those guys are just battle tested. Every single week is a grind. How they came out this weekend against Penn State after a tough loss to Michigan, and I know they only won by 5 goals, but that game was really non-competitive and was not even close the whole time. That shows me like what type of team they are, the veteran mentality to, come back after a loss and take care of your stuff and not mess around and be like, we're making a statement that we're back and we're here until someone else messes with us. So I still have Maryland as my number 1 team moving forward. But I guess time will tell. Mitch, what do you think? Who do you got?
I think I have Cornell. I just think they're special in a way where we haven't seen too much, and I don't think they're at their ceiling. Kev, did you say Cornell's at their ceiling?
No,
I say they hit their ceiling, but not every time. I say Notre Dame's not at their ceiling. In a month, I think we're saying Notre Dame, but we're not saying it yet. And I also think it's funny that Hoagie is definitely a resume guy and Dukes is definitely an eye test guy. And that just showed in that 2 answers.
I know. That's funny because Jordy has been calling me like an analytics nerd recently.
Really?
I love the – and like that's one of the things like why I love Cornell. I think last year, or eye test-wise, you might think Cornell's defense isn't that good. They're very good. Cornell's defense, and that's why I don't think they've actually hit their ceiling yet. If you're going to – I think we talked – 3 of these 4 teams that we're talking about right now are going to be in the Final Four. Like everything that Hoagie just said, I agree with. I just couldn't switch my answer. I would be fully shocked if Maryland wasn't playing on Championship Monday.
Yeah.
Like and the difference is exactly what you just said. In a month, I think we're going to say Notre Dame. I have an impossible argument right now. I'm arguing that Notre Dame's the best team when they just lost to Ohio State and Maryland. So I know that I'm on a losing argument side, but I'm going to come back to this in 2 months.
And if you watch that Cornell-Penn game, honestly, that said a lot to me because Penn, I was really looking forward to that one-on-one matchup, CJ Kirst versus Brendan Lavelle. Mm-hmm. And I saw CJ Kirst had 2 goals, 3 assists, probably had his way. It didn't really. Like Brendan Lavelle kind of won that matchup. Like CJ Kirst played really well for sure, but their offense is so multiple. Like they were focused so much on stopping CJ Kirst that like Goldstein and Long were able to do whatever they want, and the game was out of hand so fast.
I would almost guarantee, too, of the 4 we mentioned, and I'll throw Princeton in there, the national champion is going to be one of those 5 teams. I think I would be 99.9% sure that one of those 5 is going to be raising the trophy on Memorial Day. I don't see anyone outside of that 5 personally.
I agree. Right now. I agree with that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to go to my friends at DraftKings and I'm going to ask if I can I'm going to see if there's a way that I could just take Maryland and Notre Dame against the field. That's how strongly I feel in those 2 teams.
Yeah, I hope the bracket shapes out good where none of those teams have to play quarterfinal games against each other. Like exactly. I would love to see like those 4 or take one of those 4 out and throw Princeton in there and play on championship weekend. So hopefully the matchups work out there too. You always hate when it's going to be a Cornell Maryland quarterfinal or a Notre Dame Maryland quarters. Like, that could be a championship.
Yeah, which is tough. But to kind of segue right into Maryland beating Penn State. I mean, what's that, Kev?
Dude, Maryland's just balling, man. Yeah, I think the reason that Michigan beat Maryland and Penn State doesn't is because you just have to be like completely egoless. No, you have to be like, no one's shooting the ball until there's 10 seconds left on the shot clock or less. It's like if you take a bad shot, like Matt Trainer is a really good lacrosse player, but like that confidence almost kills you against Maryland because you're like, I can make this shot. And it's like, if you go high to high on Logan McNaney, guess what? It's going the other way and it's in the other net in less than 10 seconds. So Maryland is just the best team at capitalizing on the other team's mistakes. And I think that's why Michigan beats them is because they kind of have that mentality. Like, I don't want to say like we know we aren't that good, but like they have no one on their team that's like, yeah, I can go one-on-one against Maryland and make a play and be a hero. Like, I don't know. Penn State's different to me.
Yeah.
I Penn State, I thought they were Final Four good. Am I going to sell that stock from the Final Four? I won't yet, but they're definitely the third team. And I think what makes them the clear-cut third team in the Big Ten right now, they're goaltending. Like, Frassione has not been playing up to what I expect from him. And that's really their Achilles heels at this point. How many I'm going to go through it right now. Like, he has multiple games at 50% or below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games at 50% save percentage or below. Like, that's not going to win you any ball games.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by that too. I was high on him coming into the season.
Same.
And I feel like exactly what I just said. Like, if you're playing that style where the ball is coming back the other way, like, and Maryland's getting these opportunities in transition, that's like not a great style to play if your goalie is getting shelled and not like having the confidence. So I don't know. I feel like Penn State is the most ACC-ish team in the Big Ten in terms of like they have that potential on offense to like run up. Yeah, you know, like play run and gun offense. And like they kind of have to play Big Ten ball if their goalie isn't going to stand on his head.
Yeah. And I said on the broadcast too, and we've obviously talked about it with Hoagie and I, like Big Ten is that let's have them play deep in the shot clock, Big Ten ball. We're going to make you play our way. And, you know, it is kind of what it is. And we'll kind of segue into the Michigan win over Hopkins. Like talking to Connery before the game and how Michigan played is exactly that. They want to bring the shot clock down to 15-10, make a play. If it doesn't go their way, it's still a plus in their book to take time off the clock. But at the end of the day, they are trying to get the other team to play their way. And it's Big Ten as a whole.
Yeah, Big Ten.
Yeah, also one more thing about Maryland, is we've been talking about them and their offense, and I've been guilty of this. It's like this nameless, faceless unit. Dude, Eric Spanos is a legit star. That guy's a monster. Absolute monster. He should have 4 goals yesterday. He had one. You see the one that got taken off the board because of the timeout? I feel like John Tillman called that timeout because he was getting too hot. He's like, no, we don't need a star on the team. You know, everyone's got to stay level here. But
see, I don't even think they're like a nameless, faceless group, and I get that, like that's the sentiment we're saying. But this has just been a core group that you feel like you've just heard throughout the years. And while I think on any given day, like it's like, oh, I think like last year I was like Erska's the guy. Erska's the one that's like the best player on their attack unit. Then it's like, oh, Daniel Kelly feels like he comes up with clutch goals time and time again.
Yes,
you're right. Right now, Eric Spanos is the guy. So I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to one person or another. I think it's just some games it's one person, and then a month in Final Four, maybe it's Daniel Kelly's time. And we're like, well, Daniel Kelly got them to the championship. So I think it's just a testament to Tillman ball.
So many guys. Guys like Bryce Ford transferring in for Fairfield has been awesome in that midfield unit. Jack Schultz, who's a freshman, has looked great also there on offense. So just so many guys like stepping up, and just I feel like it's every year like Maryland just brings in the next guys you've never heard of, and then they just ball out and then just rinse and repeat. But it's interesting to see Penn State falling to 0-2 now. Hopkins 0-2. Hopkins was the preseason favorite to win the conference at the beginning of the year. They're 0-2. Penn State's 0-2. Penn State plays Michigan this weekend. That game is massive because Penn State falls to 0-3. They're in really tip-top shape. And then Michigan on the flip side, if they can beat Penn State, they play Rutgers the following week. Let's assume that's a win. They'd be 4-0 in the conference. A showdown with Ohio State at home for the Big Ten championship. And depending how the Buckeyes schedule shapes out against Maryland and Hopkins, that could be for the Big Ten championship game. How crazy would that be at the end of the year, last week of the regular season?
Yeah, there'd be blood.
I think that might be like that might be a 7-6 game too, with both teams just draining the shot clock, like you said, literally taking that thing deep into possessions.
I want to talk to you guys about Hopkins though. We kind of talked a little bit about them, but for them, Kev, and I want to point this question to you: do they need to win out the rest of the year? Do they need to go deep into the conference tourney? Like, what do they need to do?
If you ask me, I think there's 2 teams that I do not see a way they could win the Big Ten, and it's Hopkins and Rutgers. I could see any of the other 4 running the table in the tournament. Last week, we were talking after the Rutgers loss for Hopkins, and Hoagie, you said you were still on the Hopkins train. I'm curious where you stand now.
I mean, I'm pretty much off of it, honestly. I personally think this weekend they're going to give Ohio State absolutely everything they can handle. I think they're going to play their best game of the year this weekend. Homewood Field, last game at home, senior day, alumni day, Mitch, is homecoming for them, and their backs are against the wall. So I think they're going to have their absolute best shot this weekend at Ohio State. So if they can somehow get that win against Ohio State, maybe that rejuvenates them. But if they can't beat Ohio State this weekend, I'm off. Season's over, unfortunately, for them, and it just took a downward spiral because I don't see them winning in College Park on a Friday night to end the year. So that's another chalked up loss for me. Yeah. And they still got to play Penn State. So I guess for me, this weekend's do or die. If they win, I think that could give them some momentum moving forward, especially down the stretch. But no, loss, and I'm off the bandwagon completely.
Yeah, I think their focus should be winning a Big Ten game. I mean, they played the two next worst teams, I guess, in Rutgers and Michigan, and lost both. You only have tougher teams the rest of the way.
Yeah.
I've never really been sold on this Hopkins team. Are they worse than I thought they were? For sure. But I mean, now that Ohio State's kind of playing their best ball, I think they should just get a win. A win would be huge for the program. I do think that
Dukes is like, don't even say NCAA tournament. Let's just get a win.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't even expect them to make it.
No,
I think
right
they're
now,
deader than dead.
Very tough sledding.
Yeah. And people are gonna be like, hater. No, I want Charlie Eiler to be in the tournament. You don't think this guy right here wants to see Chuck Eiler on the biggest stage? No, but I actually think sneaky. This might be their best opportunity to get one.
I think just because back against the wall, you have
to put in all the factors. If you threw away everything before this and you're just lining them up and be like, all right, Ohio State. But when you take into everything, Ohio State coming in hot.
They only beat Ohio State in overtime last year. I believe it was Collison.
Ohio State should have won that game.
Yeah.
Ohio State should have won that game.
Yeah.
It's also tough to think, too, like episode 1, I think we all might have said Hopkins is without a doubt. Not without a doubt, but we think Hopkins is going to win the Big Ten tournament.
You for sure. Yeah, you were for sure.
I don't know if I thought Hopkins was going to win the Big Ten tourney per se. I thought they were going to be way better than they were. I thought they were going to be one of those teams that kind of a nameless team, like you said, a faceless team. I thought they were just going to be solid and get the job done. 3-2 in a Big Ten, maybe make the Big Ten championship game and lose, be a NCAA tournament team, potentially a quarterfinal team. But they just haven't panned out. And a lot of the teams at the beginning of the year that we gave them credit for beating, Taos, Loyola, have turned out to not be anywhere. Virginia, nowhere near as good as we thought. So that with the mix of Melendez out those couple games, it's just not been a recipe. And the goalie situation is something that I guess you got to talk about too. Obviously, Luke Stout hasn't been playing. It's been Orange Alliance the last couple weeks, and he hasn't played.
OG had a great game.
He had a great game, So but, you still got to see what his deal is.
And I think the thing to kind of look out for this weekend for the Ohio State Hopkins game is Hopkins goaltending. Jelinas played great. Callahan at the extra faceoff played great. That's obviously two staples for Ohio State. Obviously the defense and faceoff. It's going to come down to which offense plays really well. And
it goes both ways too. With Oren, for Ohio State's perspective, Coach Myers and everyone has film. They know where his off spots are, where to shoot on him.
Yep.
And Oren, same thing. He's seen shots from mostly a lot of the guys on the team, so he knows, all right, this is where Marnie's probably going to shoot, or this is where, he's going to shoot, et cetera, et cetera. With Ed's always shooting low. So it's kind of like that scout back and forth where they both have the read on each other. So that'll be an interesting thing to look out for as well.
Yeah, 100%. For you guys, though, it was kind of like a silent win, Syracuse over Virginia. I just feel like since where Virginia has been this year, they're not like the big shadow like they have been with Shelley in the past couple of years. Is it safe to write them off? Like, I don't know. The ACC tournament's coming up, and we can see, but there's really no conversation there.
Even if they win the ACC tournament, they can't get in.
Yeah, it's
not
an automatic qualifier conference.
I
think Virginia's tough. Like, they're a tough team, but they're just not Virginia good. Like, that was also like Syracuse's first game on grass, I think, this year. Like, they're leaving the dome. And honestly, like, that was a good, tough battle. Like, both teams weren't sliding. And that's obviously like Syracuse then has to find a guy. Sam English was kind of their guy who generated the offense for them. I also thought it was really interesting. Gary Gate made an interesting choice to start Peyton Anderson at attack over Trey Deer, who I've been hyping hardcore.
Yeah. And
it wasn't a performance thing because Trey Deer's got 8 goals in his last 2 games on, 4 goals on 6 shots in each of the past 2 games. And I think you just look at the type of player, Peyton Anderson, a freshman, 6'3", 220. Trey Deer is 6 foot 158. And so I think he just knew, like, this isn't going to be a ball movement game. We're going to need an attackman who can run by their guy and score a couple times. And that's exactly what Peyton Anderson did in that game. He had 2 goals. And that was the difference. It was 12-10. So I think credit to Gary Gait. If that was just like a strategic looking at the matchups type thing and saw that and was like, yeah, we're going to go with the freshman in the starting lineup, credit to him.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say that Virginia is definitely done at this point in terms of NCAA tournament. I think for them, just kind of continue to try and build this season and kind of build confidence and excitement for next year. I think they're definitely going to be a main player in the portal. I think Lars is going to pick up a lot of key pieces for himself, but underrated play this weekend too in this game. Syracuse was on the ropes for a little bit. They scored the final 3 to win 12-10. The key that I saw was out of a timeout late fourth, Syracuse defensive coordinator John O'Derna, former Manhattan coach, he left last year, headed up that Syracuse defense, one of the most underrated D coordinators in the country. He came out of a timeout in a zone and had Virginia completely flustered. They had no idea what they were doing. They were definitely expecting man. They didn't even end up getting a shot off on that possession late in the game to seal it. That was an underrated play that I saw out of Syracuse to kind of seal that game and finish it off. So something cool looking forward to moving forward on how.
I don't know if you just talked about, them having to dip into the portal a lot. Do you think that's the problem? Like, I think they have the talent 100%.
No, I think they do.
They have a lot of freshmen.
They have a lot of freshmen, and they have the guys who redshirted that we're not talking about. I just expect Lars to – I'm not saying he's going to get 10 kids in the portal, but I expect him to be very active in getting whatever star top player is out in the portal. I know I've heard, rumblings talking about, Virginia alums are not necessarily pleased with how this year's gone, and they got a decent bit of coin in their back pocket, some of them. So if they need to pay up to get some guys, they'll do it. So I don't see another year like this. I don't see another.
Yeah, I think it's just a rebuilding year. Just a rebuilding year.
I think that's all it is. And they have the talent. I mean,
Shelley's gone.
Shelley's gone. Kerwin's gone. And it'll be interesting to see. But I definitely think, they'll be back in the typical conversation for next year.
100%.
But Princeton beats Dartmouth 11-8. Dukes, you've been hot on Dartmouth recently. You want to take that over?
Yeah. Dartmouth loses, sorry, but I think they're real contenders in this Ivy. I'm very intrigued by the whole Ivy League in general because it's not your normal contenders. But I'm in love with Dartmouth. I love what Harvard. If Harvard, just really quickly, just speaking on the Ivy League in general, if Harvard had a legitimate face-off guy, I think they'd be a pick for me to immediately go to the Final Four. That offense is so good and so exciting to watch with Sam King. That's just like a side note, but the whole Ivy League championship race this year will be very intriguing.
Dukes, I'm curious what you think because they're playing each other this weekend at Dartmouth.
Yeah.
Dartmouth, Harvard. It's like, you're two,
yeah,
teams you love in the Ivy, but you can only pick one. I actually think Harvard played. I know they were home Dartmouth was home against Princeton, whereas Harvard had to go to Princeton. But Princeton kind of put Harvard away in the fourth quarter and were able to cruise. Like Dartmouth had Princeton on the ropes till the final couple minutes of that game. I'm curious if you think Dartmouth might be the third best team in the Ivy League.
No, I still think it's definitely Harvard. I mean, even watching that full Harvard game, they went down by 3 in the fourth quarter to Princeton, but they never really were dead. And I never felt like they were dead. You always felt like they had a chance, especially when you have like Sam King. That's really the separator for me with Dartmouth and Harvard is like Harvard has a Tawarton finalist, in my opinion. Dartmouth doesn't. Dartmouth might have the better offensive coach, offensive mind, but you never count out Jerry Byrne. Harvard is, I think, it's crazy how slept on I think they are as a team in general. I think everyone looks at them as Cornell, Princeton, and then a deep drop-off in the Ivy because they expect to see a Yale or someone, and they're not used to seeing Harvard in this picture. Harvard's legitimately good. I fully expect them to be in the quarterfinals this year.
Yeah, Dartmouth.
Hoagie, what do you think? And can we put this on the graphic this week? We got to have this game on
It is on the graphic. Don't worry. It's on the graphic. Dartmouth, I think Dartmouth was in that game the whole way against Princeton. It's also crazy watching the game. It's a different world up there. They have the snow on the sidelines. We don't see that anywhere else at this late in the year. But no, Dartmouth was in that the whole way, and they definitely had a chance to win it. I'm a big fan of Dartmouth. I think the Ivy League tournament later in the year is going to be fascinating with, Dartmouth and Harvard are fully capable of picking off Cornell or Princeton in those semifinal rounds of the Ivy League tournament. So that's going to be awesome to watch. Kind of like Duke said, I love Harvard. I love the offense. But Sean Kerwin and I think he's going to have those guys in every single game. And those guys seem to have some belief in the locker room too. I feel like they've been one of the worst programs in college lacrosse for the last 2 decades. one of those teams where it's like automatic W, and even the guys in the locker room are like, yeah, we stink. But like,
We got to get Kerwin on the show.
Yeah,
I
those
think he
guys are
could bring some
believers.
insights.
We
agree.
hype him up so much. We should.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
any of
I
you
know.
going to be not that it'll be the final chance to make the pick, but any of you brave enough to pick Dartmouth? If you're not going to do it, I probably will.
I'm going to take the over. I think
I'm taking Harvard.
and I might take them with the points, but I do think Harvard finds a way to
I'm
get
taking Harvard.
the win.
Mitch is
I guess
picking
we'll see.
Dartmouth.
I mean,
No, I'm freaking Harvard. Wait, hold on. Speaking on
That's
that,
me.
does anyone know the rankings of pick'ems so
We
far?
got it fixed. Hoagie like puts him
Who
in
after this weekend? Do we know who's first, second,
I'm-
third, fourth?
I'm first. Mitch is second.
Whoa,
Dukes
whoa.
is third.
Really?
Kev's fourth. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kev!
I'm pulling up the rear.
Yeah.
Kev.
I
Wait, so
know,
what's
I
the
know.
what's the record right now?
I have 2 games on you,
I'm gonna
Mitch.
see if I can pull it up, but
I got
Wow.
I know in the TLN staff picks, I'm in first, so it's just like I missed my hot weeks.
Yeah. No, it is what it is.
I honestly, I'm doing it based off my like who I'm betting on. Like I'm just doing it like with
For
the spreads,
playoffs,
and
we
I'm
got to
like, I
have
think
some
they're
sort
paying
of for playoffs. We got to have some sort of wager.
off. Yeah.
We got to
why
do
not?
some sort of wager.
We'll run the shoey back or
I
what?
love that.
But obviously, I'll kind of go over some other wins. Stony Brook over Fairfield kind of felt bad. Fairfield, first loss of the year, went up there to film those guys and didn't obviously pan out. But Fairfield, I think, is legit. And the CAA is just such a fun conference to watch. So gritty. I mean, you got Stony Brook, Fairfield, Towson, Delaware, all in the mix. But in my opinion, not out of the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Ivy League, some of the mid-major conferences, do you think the Big East is the most wide-open conference right now?
Yeah, I mean, my Providence take might be back and alive. I know that.
Yeah.
I know
No,
they lost.
seriously.
I know they lost to Georgetown, but like if they make the tournament, I win.
True.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
I thought
you
the
got
same thing when I
Villanova
saw that
beating
final score.
Denver, and it's just like it's so wide open. I think that's going to be a fun one to watch when conference play happens.
100%. I already have the bookmarks out. I'm like ready. I already had them. I almost sent it on Saturday. Providence, because the top. Look, Denver's not Denver. Georgetown is clearly not as good.
Yep.
I was trying to go full troll mode this year, being like, maybe this is the year they go to the Final Four. Absolutely not. It would be one of the most shocking things in human history. That would be the biggest Cinderella story of all time.
Yep.
I mean, let's look too. Let's look. Last year, last year's chaos in the Big East tournament, it should have been Providence versus Nova in the Big East championship game, and
Yeah.
Providence easily could have won the Big East last year. So the chaos last year, and that Georgetown team was much better last year than this year's team. So if anything, if the chaos happened last year, it's going to happen this year.
100%. I want to get Providence's goalie's name because he's legit.
It's
I
shot on him last year.
Dan Donahue.
Yes.
I think he's one of the most underrated goalies I think in the country.
The Big East is so boring to me, though, this year. I just am
is
so
boring.
uninterested by it. The CAA is super interesting. And Mitch,
yes.
you left out, like, when you were naming out the contenders, you forgot. Did you not name Hofstra? They had a huge win. They crushed
Yeah.
Delaware this weekend.
Oh my God! I didn't even see
Hofstra's
that.
17-10.
Hofstra's having one of their best seasons in years. 7-2 this year. I don't think they've had a winning season in 4 or 5 years. So they're a sneaky team to watch. But going back real quick on the
Jesus.
Fairfield topic that you mentioned, honestly, I know it's been great with Fairfield, the publicity of being undefeated. They got as high as 12-2 the polls. But honestly, I think for Fairfield's sake, the loss is the best thing that can happen to them as we get the home stretch into CAA play. I think having that pressure every week of being like, oh, we're undefeated. We got to keep the undefeated season, blah, blah, blah. I think that loss can actually take some of the talk and some of the pressure off of them to really be like, all right, now we got that loss out of the way. The undefeated thing's gone. Let's focus on really going to win the conference.
Yes.
And that conference is going to be ultra competitive down the stretch. So I think, honestly, the pressure could have caved in moving forward. They were going to lose eventually. So this could be one of the best things that happened to Fairfield moving forward.
Where does the pressure come from? You and Mitch running down their schedule going, win, 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 win.
I
It's
just think
as
the
soon as that video came out,
longest
it's like,
win
no
streak
way.
in D1, the last undefeated team in D1.
As Hoagie
even
was
the other-
talking there, Maddie, I just zoom in on Kev's face, just slowly smiling because he knows he's about to say that.
And I said this last night too. It's a little off topic, but Patriot League play. How is Loyola and Hampton are the only 2 winless teams in D1?
It's heinous.
If I would have
What's
told you,
going
Mitch,
on?
in April Loyola wouldn't have a singular win on the season, you would have called me an idiot. I mean,
Dude,
I
they only
never
scored
thought
3
I'd
goals
have those 2
this
teams
weekend.
together.
Yeah.
You were saying
let's pan it right now, and we're gonna save this clip. Do you think Loyola wins a game this year?
Yes. They get to play Holy Cross. They're going to beat Holy Cross. That's their only win. They might have a chance against Bucknell, but that's it. They're not beating Army. They have 3 more games left. I don't remember what the other 2 were.
That's how fucked up this world is. I legitimately think they could have a chance against Army.
I was going to say the same thing, dude. Watch them go the whole. It's the last game of the season for them, regular season at least.
They got
Watch
nothing
them go
to
the
lose.
whole
It's
thing, and then they beat Army.
They got Towson. Yeah, they got Towson, Navy, Army, Holy Cross, Bucknell.
Yo, we have to put that. We have got to put that game on this. I hope they're
on the pick'em
10 and put it on the pick'em, and then if it's just Loyola all the way.
Yeah, all four. Yeah, we gotta do that.
People would be so mad.
Yeah, they would. You'd have Captain Cons coming for your head, Dukes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. I was like, great win, Cons. Great win, Capt.
God, I love that. How about the massive upset though with UMass over St. Joe's?
Do you think that was a massive upset?
I mean, not massive, but it was a big one.
That shocked Mitch.
I mean,
UMass is 8-2. They're good.
Yeah, UMass is 8-2 with a win over Rutgers.
We're not talking like Drip King UMass. I mean, this is a whole different squad.
I mean, UMass's only losses are to Army and Brown. So, like, they don't have any. The 2 losses are not terrible losses. I guess Brown's not the best loss, but Brown is an Ivy League opponent. So, yeah, I mean, I guess maybe you could say was surprising because they almost lost to UMass Lowell a couple weeks ago. So that everyone was kind of like, hey, what?
Quick question for you guys, and I want serious answers only. Take the best ever Garden City High School year and team, probably with O'Keefe on it. Would they beat Loyola right now?
No, no chance.
Garden City would not.
That is crazy.
Roster full of D1 kids.
Mitch,
okay, hey, no, I mean it's disrespectful. Hey, would that same team beat Hampton?
By 12.
Yes. 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 You can't compare that though, Mitch. Yeah. You can't compare that. You told me Loyola was within a goal of Hopkins and Maryland, shockingly too.
That's no disrespect either.
No, that reminds me of like
Loyola
back
boys
in like
is crazy.
2012. Remember
You're
when the
punching them while they're on the
conversation
ground.
was like, could the Cleveland Brown would Alabama beat the Cleveland Browns in football?
No chance.
Right.
No chance.
See, like that, it's different with I do think it's different with high school lacrosse though. Like if you're going to take the best high school team against the worst D1 team, a lot of these kids are going D1. It's at this point everyone's like a freshman anyways. You're basically taking an all freshman team. Unless you got like sophomores on the team, you're not going to really get like outmanned.
I think the
high school teams like full of like juniors and seniors. Like
the worst teams in D1 are beating the high school teams in my opinion. But I think you could maybe if you.
I don't know if Hampton is.
I'm not counting.
What do you say,
Hampton. I agree. High school teams. I think high school team would beat Hampton. I agree with that. The top high school team, like you're talking like a Calvert Hall potentially. Yeah. Yes, I could see that happening. But Loyola, no chance. But if you're arguing like a Wagner or like a Queens, I don't think it would happen. I think Wagner or Queens win the game, but I think you could at least have a discussion. To even have Loyola in consideration, I know they're 0-9, but they are not one of the bottom 16.
No, they're
not. No, look, no disrespect. No disrespect. I think St. Anthony's is straight up beating Wagner.
Yeah, but that's that. But Dukes, you're not going to say. Dukes, you're not going to say St. Anthony's beating Loyola though.
No. I'm not saying that, but you said Wagner would beat St. Anthony's. I'm trying to think. McDonough? I'm going Long Island guys.
No, I didn't say they'd beat them. I say that would be like I could see you having a conversation potentially. Like to say that Loyola.
Are you backpedaling right now?
Me? No.
Yeah.
I said I think that Wagner against a high school team. I think Wagner would win, but there's a discussion of it being close. That's what I said.
And there's only like 2 or 3 teams.
What I'm saying is you cannot have Loyola in that conversation with Wagner. And Hampton.
I know.
That's
was
ridiculous.
More of a question, but I think it's a statement. A statement.
Yeah, Wagner has a win.
Yeah, who do they beat? They beat Long Island this weekend on Friday.
Yeah.
LIU.
I think there's 2 or 3 teams that like the best high school team could compete with. Like,
compete is good. I like compete.
Like I don't know if Holy Cross like it's like right now I'm looking at it, it's like Hampton, Wagner, UMass Lowell. I don't know if they could beat UMass Lowell, to be honest.
Yeah, UMass Lowell's good this year.
They've gotten better.
Like Holy Cross, like right, like. I'm not even. If you go back as far as like 6 years ago, though, I'm going like 6 or 7 teams. That's the best high school team.
Like you're taking the St. Anthony's team with McAdory, Brennan O'Neill,
taking
Duffy,
the Chaminade team
guys.
too with Etzman. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Thanks.
We'll see. All right, let's hop to a little PLL before we hop into our big interview with Big Tasty. Hoagie, I want you to take this one off with the Bill Tierney quote. Did it kind of rip your heart out as a Redwoods fan?
No, because I expected it because, CJ
Yeah.
Kirst is really that generational.
What are you going to do?
I think, honestly, he might be the best prospect or best college player. I think, Kev, you might have said this since Pat Spencer. You thought maybe he's the best player since Pat Spencer to play college lacrosse. So This is kind of like the, Caleb Williams, the Andrew Luck, where it's like, no matter who's won, whether you need a quarterback or not, whether you need the guy or not, you're taking him at number one. There's no chance you're trading him. So it was funny, his quote, though, where he said they'll have to attend my funeral to get the deal done. So Tierney was like, the card's already in. Paul's already got CJ Kirst Water Dog jerseys. They're getting them ready for week 1 in Albany this year. They already have them printed. So, yeah, I mean, that's good. Now, at least, Spalina, I think he already knew it before the media press came out. But, now he gets to attack a different way and not have to worry about trying to trade up, kind of see what he wants to do with 2 and 3.
Do you guys think anything could happen for CJ Kirst not to go number 1?
No, there's no chance.
I was trying to think of, because I want to come out with a mock draft this week or next week where it's just kind of out there. And I can't think of anything
there's
interesting
no way
to make it no, I know.
Yeah, I don't think at this point, I think the way that the roster was constructed last year, you could kind of just talk yourself into being like, maybe Chris Cav makes more sense, but especially with Zed going down, the stock that CJ Kirst is, if it was high last year, it's through the roof this year.
Yeah.
All the intangibles, exactly what they need, especially with Ricardo getting older. Him and Sowers are going to be probably 2 of the top 5 players for the next couple.
They're going to be
and one more note on how good I think CJ Kirst was. I think if he was in last year's draft, I would have taken him number 1. So I would have taken him over Brennan O'Neill, would have taken him over Schellenberger. Yep, absolutely.
Wow, that's a bold statement. That's a good.
I have tweets out. I'm not just saying that now because CJ's running away. I was saying it last year. So.
Okay.
I don't know if I would, but I as a guy that loves takes, I love that take.
I mean, to me, CJ is just you look at Brennan O'Neill, you couldn't even get him on the field to start. He had to run through the box. CJ Kirst, you can put him on the crease. You can put him at X you can put him on the wing. There's just so much you can do with CJ Kirst, and he can excel all of it. Yeah, Brennan O'Neill is a very specific thing he does very well.
I think if I had the choice between CJ, Shelley, and Brennan, I think I'd take Shelley. I just love Shelley's game.
Yeah, I love Shelley.
The poise he brings, the versatility, the calmness, everything about him. Now. And I love CJ, but I love Shelley. I think I would.
So you don't like Brennan? That's what I just got. You love CJ, you love Shelley, and you didn't say anything about Brennan.
I think the thing that separates.
I'm just busting balls.
Yeah, I think we saw Schellenberger he always had a game or 2 where he's banged up and misses time, and I just think PLL is tough, and CJ is built like that. He's
for
built
sure.
like
that. I think that also.
Tough.
Sorry, Mitch, you go.
No, I was just gonna say it's tough, and especially it's a different game. It's faster, and it kind of makes you wonder about some of these young stars, like a Shelley. I think missed a couple games. I don't know if it was his ankle or leg or whatever, but it's such a game where it's not like a traditional league where you have time to rest and you have the best doctors at your fingertips, and even at us at Ohio State we had that access, and it really just comes down to which guys are the healthiest, and going back to especially this time in the season with some of the best teams, whoever stays healthy is going to continue to thrive.
Yeah, I mean, also just when it's these rookies and they play the entire year and banged up, and then you go immediately into the summer, it's tough. When get healthy state. I mean, we saw Pat Cavies probably get all these rookies. I'm excited to see this next summer. But 2 teams, if we're talking PLL really quick, I'm looking at my friends at DraftKings, and they have odds out for who's going to win it all. And I'm looking right now at the Water Dogs plus 600. That's the tied for the 4th best odds.
Wow.
Wow.
Who's favorites? Archers still? Is it Archers?
Yeah. The Archers are favorite. Then it's Maryland and Cannons are tied, and then Atlas plus 550, and then Water Dogs plus 600. They're tied with the Outlaws. I'm taking the Outlaws or the Water Dogs. Both. I'm going to take them right now to win the PLL championship.
Wow.
Really?
Wow. I guess that's a good
those are my 2 picks, and I love what they're doing.
I guess that's a good segue for next week, Pelks. We got
you like that, Kev? You like that or no?
I do like that. I mean, I'm a guy who loves takes too, Dukes.
Because it's not like I'm saying also that's I mean that's who I think obviously will win it, but the Archers are the favorites for the reason. I'm not sold on the whip stakes. The Cannons are obviously really good, and so are the Atlas. But when I'm looking at the value of those 2 teams, I don't know. I think those are two teams that at the end of the
I
season
think what's
could
going to be
1-2.
cool, and obviously next week, like Hoagie, you said it, we're having Paul Concaterra on to kind of get his mock draft. And I want to give him time to like, hey, before you hop on, we want to hear your top 8, your first draft, your first round. Do you think his ideal is very similar to us? Or do you think as a guy that's, played, been in the booth and's been around the sport way longer than any of us, do you think his ideal and his first round is going to be different?
Yeah, but like not really.
He'll have CJ Wan. He's a big Kirst guy. So
Yeah.
And Kark's more of a big board guy than he is a mock draft guy.
yeah, he
like,
is.
He's going to give you who he thinks his best players are, which I don't know if he has a big board out this year. So
No,
we should try to pin.
Yeah,
we should
I
try
want
to
to
pin
get
him
that
down
out of
on
him
one.
because I was looking the other day. The only thing he has is after the season last year, a way too early.
Yeah,
2025 draft.
It's time. It's time.
Yeah,
man.
and let me tell you, it's gonna look way different.
Hey, don't
Let's
sleep
hit
on
him
the
up and see if he can debut it on the show.
Yeah, I think that'll be sweet. So stay
Don't
tuned
sleep on
for
the
that.
Redwoods too, by the way. Last place on the odds. Trader Joe's still working his magic. We got Nick Turn.
Yeah, talk about
Signing Brendan Nick Turn. As Kev said, he's off the military obligation, so he's playing. He's full go.
How
We
does
got
that
him.
work?
And then we're signing. We also signed the
Don't
legend
ask me.
himself, the Warrior OG Burn cleat Dylan Malloy as well. So
Hey.
Spalina's
love
making
still
some
hearing that name.
moves. He's finding out the burners. He's making moves. He's doing a lot of good stuff.
I also just want to touch on that. Do I think the Redwoods will win that championship? No, absolutely not. Sorry, Joe. Absolutely great interview. Do not think you're winning at all. Maybe stiff the playoffs if lucky, but I could not love their moves more. Like he has full, and I think it's showing right now why a GM in this league could be so crucial to the success. Like overnight, I fell in love with them. They're going to be a team that I'm on early and often this year with the lines and with the betting. I think that he's.
Wait, let me pose you guys this question because I really don't know. Are the Redwoods the only team that have a different GM and head coach?
No, the Chaos just hired Roy Colsey and
okay.
Spencer
But
Ford.
besides those two,
It's new. Yeah,
the
they're
head
the only
coach-
two teams.
Yeah, before
Wow.
Staggs was the coach and GM,
And-
Bates coach and GM. etc.
and why is that? Is that like a strategy, or why do you think that's the play?
I think it was just probably because the league was just starting, and you want to cook. What's the analogy that Bill Parcells said?
Bill Parcells said they want you to cook the dinner, but they won't let you buy the groceries.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like I think that's a good motto, and you really do have to have a good relationship. And at this point with the PLL and where it stands after 5 years, I mean, these coaches have relationships with these players.
Yes.
You can kind of get hypnotized, fall in love with players that like might be a little washed up and have this emotional connection to them. So GMs can come into play and kind of be the bad cop.
Yeah.
I was
bad cop.
I think it's
exactly going to
important.
say that, Dukes. I bet you if I had to predict right now, I bet you the Water Dogs are the next team to hire a GM.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Mm.
And
I think Tierney likes the coaching part, doesn't so much like the roster management.
I agree.
And I will
Yeah.
say, I think a bunch of like Bates should go get a right hand man. Like I would love to see if Bates is like, look, I want to become just a GM and hire a new coach, or just be like, hey, I want to coach. Here's a GM. I'd love to see some coaches go after people that they trust, not necessarily have to bring someone in that like just kind of ruins their groceries.
I feel like Staggs might be
Yeah.
the one guy who likes to still be the GM and the coach. I feel
Yeah,
like
he'd be the Bill Belichick.
he's like the
who's
one.
like,
I feel like
want
he's the
both.
one guy
Yeah.
who doesn't
such
want a
a
GM.
legend.
Staggs is like, I'm gonna run the team and I'm gonna coach. Like he
That would
wants
be
both.
sick.
If you also
If
just
10 years from now, he's like the holdover who's still like,
Yeah.
there's no
Yeah.
GM. That'd be cool.
if you also heard what I was saying, it's like this emotional connection. I feel like Staggs, and one of the best things about him is he can be blunt, straightforward, right to your face, tell you how he feels. If he thinks you're washed up, I don't think Staggs has any problem being like, you're washed, I need to cut you.
Yes,
I mean,
100%.
wait, I'm sorry, I'm just getting lost with the years. Did he literally do that with Will Manny?
Yeah.
Literally.
Yes.
Literally.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Hoagie, I got to ask you though, after talking to Joe Spalina, I know you're reading the mock drafts for the Redwoods. After the interview last week with Joe Spalina, who was your sense that was going to be the picks at 2 and 3? And now after the Nick Turn trade, what do you like?
Yeah,
feeling
I mean,
differently?
for me, I don't know. It's tough to like get pieces and be like, obviously you want everyone to fit in the way they're supposed to fit, right? But I feel like sometimes in the league, there's just so much talent that you have to just take certain players, whether they're fit or not. And I feel like we've seen that in the past. I mean, the comments that he made about the Kavanaughs, how he'd love to have a barbecue with the family and that, he'd take them in a bar fight over anyone, makes me think that Chris is definitely high on his board for sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously like a guy like Andrew McAdory, I think a guy that he's played with growing up the whole time. The Redwoods could use that in the midfield. And I thought that was a really key play that he mentioned about how McAdory used to face off, and it's kind of a Swiss Army knife, especially in the league nowadays where, you don't have to dress up a face-off guy 1 week, or if TD's banged up, you don't have to sign someone off waivers. You can throw a guy like McAdory in just to muck it up when we've seen face-offs really aren't the biggest thing in the PLL. So having guys like Mac who can play both ways is huge. So I think those were the two big keys that I think he was going to grab. I still love a guy like Coulter Mackesy. I think he's going to be a stud in the league just with his shot and even like a Sam King moving forward. But I don't know. I think for me, the two guys I got was McAdory and Chris Cav. I guess we'll see. But I think Spallina to me is a relationship guy, right? Like he wants to know that you got his back and vice versa. And the players know that Spallina's got his. So I think he's going to take his dudes that he feels comfortable with. So Cav and Mac, I think
that's
strong.
exactly what it was.
I think you're right.
I think Kevin Mack was. I knew McAdory. I knew McAdory. I think is going 3.
Yes, I do too.
I think Cav will go 2. I think he'll take Cav
Yes,
2.
I agree.
Wow, can you imagine? All right, well, we'll see. That wraps up PLL. That wraps up college lacrosse as well. Now, let's get into our interview with Big Tasty. One of the hottest teams in America right now, Caleb Fyock, a.k.a. Big Tasty, has joined the show. Clap it up for Big Tasty. Is this the first Buckeye we've had on the show, which is kind of nuts to say?
I think it is.
Can somebody back me up? I mean, this is kind of crazy. Big Tasty Hawk is on the scene. How are we feeling?
Feel good, man. I feel good. Thanks for having me.
You look great. You're in Res on 10th, the sophomore dorms. It's just like it's iconic. Brings Hoagie and I back. We're excited to have you on. Talk about the Buckeyes. You guys are rolling right now. Absolutely rolling. Bring us back to week 1 after that loss into what the team is like now. How different have the guys really blended into who the Buckeyes are today?
No, yeah, it's totally different. I think that Utah game kind of like opened our eyes and made us realize nothing's really going to be easy this season. So just put our heads down, kept working for those past 2 weeks, beat Virginia, gain a little traction, and then head up to South Bend and take care of business. And that's when we started getting hot.
Yeah, 100%. And Hoagie and I got to own it firsthand. We thought Notre Dame was going to win that game, and we'll say that. And I think to get respect for the show, we had to pick fairly as we thought. But I think now it's tough. It's just like you guys are rolling deep, heavy, and you can't really stop the Buckeyes right now. But I want to bring it back. How did Big Tasty start? How did the nickname start?
So like when I was in elementary school, I'd watch this show called The Goldbergs, me and my whole family, and then one of the kids' names was Big Tasty, and he was a middle child, so a lot of attitude, very energetic. So I kind of just adopted that name and just kind of went with it.
Okay, I like that. There we go.
Love that. Tasty, thanks for hopping on, brother. So obviously, Mitch and I know kind of the ins and outs of Ohio State lacrosse, and it's definitely a unique program, right? Like when you get in there, there's a certain standard and a certain kind of way that you carry yourself on and off the field. Can you kind of take us into the locker room and kind of walk everyone watching and listening online, walk them through Buckeye lacrosse and kind of what the Buckeye way is?
No, yeah. I mean, come here, it's not easy, especially spending 4 years, gonna have to spend 4 years here. It's a long time, and it's we put in a lot of work and effort, but at the end of the day, it's paying off, you see this season, those 6 a.m. wake-ups and fall ball, practicing, and going straight to class, meetings, all that, and then maybe some film. And then just all that work, conditioning, lifting every day, it all adds up to what we have today, and it's pretty special.
Yeah, kind of like Mitch said earlier, too. You guys are having the dream season right now. You guys are on 10 straight wins, the hottest team in the country. Kind of walk us through what's been different kind of this year compared to last year. Obviously, last year didn't go your way, and even a couple years before that with Mitch and I, our senior year didn't go the way we wanted it to. But what's kind of been different this year? I know you've only been there 2 years, but what's been different this year compared to last year that you think has helped fuel the success so far?
I would say we got a great group of transfers coming in. Everyone loves those guys. There's no bad blood on this team or anything. So I think us being so well connected and so close as a team on and off the field, I think really helped us take that leap forward from where we were last year to this year.
Yeah, Tasty, going off that, I feel like the last couple of years, Ohio State hasn't played up to the level that the Buckeyes want to play too. I know the last time you guys made the tournament was, I think, Hoagie, your junior year with Mitch?
Mitch and I's junior
Yeah,
year.
22.
Yeah, so a lot of people are talking shit, including myself. I have two different podcasts. I think even my co-host on the other podcast said Ohio State's the Delaware of the Midwest, which is no shot to Delaware. Great program as well. But talk to me through this. After the week 1 loss to Utah, everyone started clowning you guys online. How have you guys dealt with that, all the chatter the past couple of years, and then after the week 1 loss to Utah?
Oh, we just kind of blocked it out. Coach Myers really put an emphasis on it's the 48 guys in the locker room that matters. Like, we know what we have here, and he kind of did a great job of blocking the noise out for us, and our captains also did a great job. So, like I said, we just kind of put our heads down, kept working week in, week out, and then we started seeing results.
Tasty, I got a question for you, and this is just in general terms. I want your initial reaction. What comes to mind when I say the word Michigan?
It's not good. It's not a good feeling.
It's that team up north. Yeah. Come on now.
It was. I mean, even for me, broadcasting last week, every time I said it, it's still like in the back of my head. I think of Coach Myers. I'm like,
oh, I love that. I love that watching it. Oh my God,
I'll never forget.
It was hard,
Mitch. I'll never forget our sophomore year at Ohio State, because freshman year we didn't get conference play. It got canceled with COVID. First time we played that team up north, sophomore year, Coach Myers walks in. He goes, "It's that team up north. It's not Michigan. Don't fuck with me on that." And everyone got dead silent.
Everyone's like, "Holy shit!" Everyone's like, "Oh my!" We're in the film room. I'm like shaking. I'm like, "Oh my God, this rivalry is real." And I think what's cool and Tasty, you can talk about this of like, you obviously see it on the football and basketball side of how big it is, but every sport at Ohio State, they take it so real.
No, yeah, 1,000%. I know exactly for the lacrosse team, like, it's a big deal. Like, we have a clock in our locker room counting down the day we play a team up north. So it's something like everyone looks forward to every year, and just knowing like it's like the best rivalry in college sports.
Well, at the risk of 3 people on this podcast right now jumping through the screen at me, I got to bring up last year, Michigan won the Big Ten championship on your home field. Y'all had to do fireworks and everything for it. That had to be tough to watch. But this year, the Big Ten semifinals and finals are in Ann Arbor. How did it feel to watch that last year? And then how sweet would some revenge be this year?
It would be great, honestly. I've been talking about it since the day I stepped on campus with my teammates. Like, celebrated on our field last year, got all these fireworks. But like this year, it's at their home. Like, it's their home turf. And, we want to win that game. We want to win the Big Ten. We want to win every game we possibly can. So especially that game on their home field, imagine bringing home that Big Ten trophy. That would be sweet.
You two are at the top of the Big Ten right now. They've won back-to-back Big Ten championships, but during the regular season, they've hardly looked like the best team in the conference. What is it about that team like that makes them play so well once it comes time for Big Ten tournament play?
I think they get hot. I mean, early season, like the way Coach Myers explains it, there's 2 seasons within our whole season. Mm-hmm. One's out of conference, and then one's Big Ten play, where really all the stuff that happened out of conference like doesn't really matter. If you win the conference, you go to the tournament. So they really just take care of business when they need to, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, speaking of taking care of business, I know Mitch was kind of talking about it a couple weeks ago. You guys played Notre Dame. I tend to be a Notre Dame homer. Honestly, the past couple years, it did me pretty well. But I picked against you guys, and that's no disrespect to you guys. I think your defense, the way you're playing, Bobby Van Buren's playing, you guys are great. But my 2 co-hosts, Ohio State alumni, picked against Ohio State. I could not believe it. They're trying to be this lax media gurus, but they were wrong, just like me. And I want to know, did that get passed around the Ohio State locker room at all? Did the boys – was there a little chatter that Mitch and Hoagie picked against the fellas?
Yeah, there was.
I mean, 100%. I got a text. The minute that the graphic went out, I got a text from J-Mac. I got a text from, I think Carp texted us too, Mitch. And I think Crane was talking about it too, Tasty. So it was swirling on the bus right off the bat. Oh, yeah. The minute that J-Mac texted me, it was like, dude, I'm telling you, the vibe is different right now. I felt it in my heart. I'm like, they're fucking winning this game, and this is going to come back to bite us. I knew it immediately.
I knew it. After the fact, we get a couple like ear emojis like from our strength and conditioning coach, and then our coach Crane called me last night. He's like, hey, I got to check you real quick. You really picked Notre Dame? I'm like, look, I got to own it. 100%. You point the thumb, not the finger. That's a Coach Myers
own your
special.
role, as Coach would say. Own your role.
Yeah. I'm not even going to lie. I got to the end of that game, and I was like, I picked Notre Dame. And I was like, you know what? Like, I just need to see Ohio State win this game. Just the reactions to Mitch and Hoagie. Like, I know even at the Final Four, I think Hoagie might have picked against Notre Dame or our old co-host.
Yeah, I picked against
Miles.
Notre Dame the whole Final Four. Yeah,
and on the field they're chirping him, like being like, "Oh, you shouldn't have picked against us," blah blah blah. And all I could think of was you guys going on the bus, like, "Oh, Mitch and Hoagie, wrong again," like just chirping them.
Yeah, that was not our fondest moment, I will say. But you know what? The boys are fucking rolling, and I love it. So
rolling.
Yeah,
rolling.
the Bulls.
Any motivation you guys need, they're gonna give.
Pelks and I will have boots on the ground at Homewood this weekend. We'll be there with a bunch of the boys.
Yes,
so.
yeah, it'll be a good game. I'm excited. I think
Hoagie's gonna be wearing his finest Blue Jay jersey.
That's Mitch. Mitch is the one with the Hopkins shirt last week.
yes.
Well, yeah, the Hopkins merch. I do have to put it out there, but I want to bring up one story. I remember, Tasty, when you were still in high school, I think it was your senior year, Hoagie and I were seniors. I remember we got on the topic of talking about you and just say, obviously Tasty's coming. Everyone knew you as Big Tasty Hawk. And I remember we kept saying it. And I remember Myers being like, "We're not saying that shit. We're cutting the nickname out as soon as he gets here." And I just love
Myers
how,
and
like,
Crane were like,
literally on the Big Ten graphic, it's like Big Tasty.
Yeah, they're like, the minute he steps in the building, that's gone. It's Caleb. It's Caleb. And then, like, now you go on, like, Big Ten Plus, and it literally says Big Tasty on, like, your stat line. It doesn't even say your own name.
I think it's the best nickname in college.
You got to be like Kool-Aid McKinstry. You got to have Mo update the roster next year. Just have it say Big Tasty Hawk on there.
Wait, so Tasty, did Myers ever say anything about the nickname?
No.
He never did.
Wow.
I love that. I think, another aspect, too, of kind of coming into, obviously, Buckeye play and having a guy like Henry Blake there, an older classman who, and you guys are kind of competing, right, in your first year last year. For him to get the initial start, then, him to have some injuries and some, he had to go to the hospital. I don't exactly know what ended up happening. You get the start. You play well the rest of last year. And then this year, Blake gets the start again. And then you go in, and it seems like you've obviously solidified the role. And we obviously know Hank, one of the most positive guys. How's it been for you to learn from Hank, but then him also be your biggest supporter, obviously, behind you now?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, he's like one of my best friends here, which is a plus, having somebody to work with every day. Just going through drills with, spending time on and off the field. Like, it's awesome. Like, we have such a healthy relationship, like, outside of lacrosse, outside of all that stuff. Like, end of the day, we're still friends. So it's like it's a great relationship. Yeah,
100%. A guy like I miss a guy like Dante Bowen a lot. Just one of the biggest characters. This is a kid, Dukes and Kev. This is Dante Bowen, kid from Toronto, one of the funniest guys on the team. Who's top 3 funniest guys on the team for you this year?
I would go Henry.
You put Blake up there?
He's funny, man. He's funny.
Ari better be on this list, Tasty. He's
Ari's on there too. Ari, and then
who's 3?
And then I'm gonna give it to a freshman, Brenton Sheffield.
Okay, all right,
Ah.
All right. I like that. I think on our
clip
end,
this right now.
Yeah, he's clipping that. He's posting that on our end.
To the group chat.
One of the best parts about having Nick Myers as your head coach is you don't know what one-liner or phrase you're going to get. But what's your favorite you've heard this year?
Dude, I don't know. He's been all over the place this year. He really hasn't had like a famous one.
You really don't know what he's going to say. And I think the best are like the fall practices when you think it's going to be a typical Tuesday, and then it's just bang, you're banging around. It's one-on-ones, it's 3v3s, and he's just like on one. Yeah. Any heinous, not heinous, but any one-liners you remember from this year?
Let me see. I don't think so, honestly. I think
Crane, do you remember one from back in the day?
One, though. Crane's definitely up there.
I don't know if it's a one-liner, but my favorite thing is every time he's starting any sentence, it was like, all right, men, good afternoon, men. Yeah. All right, we're going to attack this, men. Everything's men right off the bat. Yeah. Anytime any put like, all right, men, we're going to have dinner now, like everything.
In a sentence, you can expect the word men and clarity.
And then clarity as well. Area. Clarity is a big one. No gray area. Huge. Honestly, one of my favorite things that coach does at practice is when he's mad when we start messing up and he sends us on the line to run 17s. And he'll get on the line and be like, if I beat any of you guys, we're running the rest of practice. And everyone's like sprinting. And he'll be like, whoever's last in the pack. I remember last year was Lidl, our senior. He goes, I'm getting you, Griffin. I'm coming, Lidl. And he's like a mile and a half behind. Like he hasn't even turned before everyone finished, but he's just yelling at Griffin Lidl.
Like,
I'm catching you. I'm going to catch you.
He's got like the baggiest sweatpants on and like this sweatshirt he pulled out from like 03 when he first started coaching there. It's like, dude, coach, I mean, we got the swag this year. Let's put it on.
Or another classic is the Halloween scare prank. I fell for that senior year, which is I
Yeah,
got
that
called
was
to the
a
office on the
classic.
mannequin. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I fell for that.
Is there
God,
video of
I
that?
love that. Yeah, there's video. I think
there's
I
video
actually
on
chopped
Twitter.
it up. It's a classic one. You turn the corner and then the mannequin's right there, jumps out. Every senior knows it's coming every Halloween
Well, our
practice.
senior year, he's like, I got a text from coach. He's like, come up to my office. I'm like, oh God, what did I do? Blah, blah, blah. I go up. He's like, want to show you something real quick. I was like, oh, sweet. All right, what's up? He goes, check out this new uniform we got. And it's like someone in like a morph suit with like the jersey and the helmet on. And he's like, what do you think of the new uniform? Like, I think we're to break it out at some point this spring, maybe the Maryland game. What do you think? I was like looking at it. And all of a sudden, like the mannequin just moved and I just shit my pants. I was like, meanwhile, I knew it. They do it every year. So it's like, it's coming, but like,
yeah, but also when you get called at the coach's office, it's the last thing you're thinking about.
And it's just
God,
the stairs up there. Tasty, you know it. Like you walk down from the facility and you got to go up the double flight of stairs and you're slowly going up and it's dead silent. You're like, uh-oh.
Gosh. Wait, Tasty, you guys have obviously had some big wins. I think my personal favorite on-field memory from Coach Myers goes back to my freshman year. We play Notre Dame. It eventually is our last game before COVID ends. We beat them in the shoe. It's an upset. Coach comes back in the locker room. The music's blaring, and he busts out this robot that I don't think we've seen since Springfield College, him back in the day playing lax. Has he busted out any dance moves this year? You guys have won a ton of big games that had to come out.
He has against Penn State.
Oh, let's go.
The moves.
God, I
First
wish I
Big
was
Ten
there.
win, the moves were coming different.
Oh, my gosh. That's one thing I've always wished I could see. You know, I might invite him to my wedding, and I want to see that live in action. But
Coach Myers,
were you guys all going crazy?
He's one of the best dancers out there, too. Underrated dancer.
Oh, yeah. He's a little in his ways, a little bit stiff, but I guarantee when that guy goes out for a fun night, he has a blast. I could say that firsthand. But, Tasty, do we see any other dance moves out of him? Did Crane get in there? What else did we see?
Nah, Crane didn't really get in there. It was really just him. It was really just him.
That's
doing
so
his
sick.
What about is Vossler, Cart, Mo? Are they getting involved or what is it? No.
It's just Myers. Just Coach Myers.
That's Myers.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I do have a question for you, Tasty.
Some up on the roof afterwards.
Yep.
Who's
So I
doing
got
that
one
chant these days, Tasty? And then
Henry Blake.
Hank's got it.
Blake.
Wow. Electric.
Yeah.
So you've obviously faced like a lot of good shooters, and I'm not going to even ask you for people in the Big Ten because you can't. As a goalie, I used to play in high school. Not good enough to play at Ohio State, but good enough to play in high school. You don't want to give anyone on Michigan any credit, no one on Penn State. Outside of the conference, who's the best shooter that you've seen in the last 2 years?
Best shooter in the past 2 years. I would. That's tough. I would say Collison.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
That's big for this week, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Have you been watching his tape, obviously coming up to this Saturday?
A little bit. Nothing too crazy. Just the film with the defense and the team. That's about it.
Yeah. You know, doing the game last week against Michigan Hopkins, seeing his performance where I think he had like 6 or 7 shots and 3 of them hit the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
You know he's coming. He's not missing by much, but I think if you guys give him time and room, that's kind of game over. Yeah. So obviously you guys and your defense and the way you've been playing, you guys look like you're in great shape, but I mean, he's definitely one of the best shooters in college lacrosse.
Yeah, no doubt.
Caleb, is anyone better than the shots you see from Marnier in practice?
Not really. That kid hands free. It's a problem.
You got
he's been one of the best shooters
practice?
I've seen.
Yeah, he's a problem.
Yeah. It's so weird to even say that.
Went from hacking up Mitch on scout team
God.
to lighting up Tasty in practice.
You weren't there.
I mean,
this guy was the biggest hack on Gray Squad.
Yeah.
Literally, this guy was Hackenberg. It was so bad. And the fact that I just saw an image that he's on a Torton watch list as an offensive player is crazy to even see that.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But I think for you, Tasty, a quick question, a quick segment we have on here is called Start, Bench, Cut. So I'm going to give you 3 things. I want you to start one, bench one, and cut one. We're obviously in the theme of goalies, so I'm going to give you scenarios here. We got first one, Bernlohr versus UNC, Rupel versus UVA in that sequence, and then Tillman Johnson versus Hopkins. I don't even know if you were born yet, but that was the sequence as well,
Mitch.
back in the day.
All right.
Start one, bench one, cut one, go.
I'm gonna start Bernlohr save.
Yep.
I'm gonna bench Tillman. And
Okay.
then I'm a cut Rupel.
Why are you cutting Roops?
No reason. I just think those two saves were much more bigger than Rupel's save. No offense, but I mean, still a great goalie, great player. Not a knock on him.
Yeah, 100%. A question coming from our producer. He says, "Someone please ask about his cup." So a little interesting, but what's the situation with the toolbox you got?
Just does the job. Just does the job.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why that came in from the producer, but a little awkward. One more question I have, then we'll let you go. We kind of clowned it on the show. You guys versus Denver.
Yeah.
Little scruffle, Ari's big hit, and then we see Big Tasty coming in there with a little shove. And then Seth, your trainer, comes in, takes you out of the pile, essentially. What was that like? Walk us through that moment, and did Myers say anything to you guys after?
Nah, yeah. I mean, all kind of happened pretty quickly. Run over, get into it. I realized someone's pulling on me. I see it's Seth, out of all people. And then after that, huddled up. He wasn't really that pissed, honestly. Like
He wasn't. Wow. I could so see it like film the next day, him being like, "What is this, Tasty? What are we doing here? This is not
Seth of all
Buckeye lacrosse."
people. Seth of all people was the guy pulling you out, Tasty. Like that's the last guy I would have thought was coming over to do something.
it was. Yeah, last person I would have thought would grab me either.
God, I love
Tasty,
that.
when you came out of the box after that was crazy, the Denver crowd booing you. Had you ever been booed like that? And are you the type of athlete that like that pumps you up, or is that like getting your head?
Nah, I was kind of surprised, honestly. It was a good crowd. I'll give them props. The fans really do come out and support Denver. Got the better of them that day. So, I mean, it doesn't really faze me, I guess.
Yeah, no, you got the win too. Yeah.
I like that. Well, sweet. Well, Tasty, we appreciate you hopping on. Want to get you on before, obviously, a big game down in Baltimore, Maryland this weekend. Best of luck. I'll be rocking my Scarlet and a Hoagie will, and we'll be cheering you guys on.
Good luck, Tasty. Let's go, baby.
Thanks, Tasty.
Guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Tasty, legend. Excited for the Buckeyes. They take on Hopkins this Saturday. Tune in. But now, my favorite segment, Mitch's Mailbox. You guys called the number on the screen and left your heinous voicemail of the best announcer to ever do it in lacrosse. And I'm excited. This one kind of hits home for me as I'm getting into it in the booth. First, before we get into it, how was I in the booth? Can you guys give me any constructive criticism?
Dude, you're a Duke said it in the text message. You're a natural. You got the voice, you got the look, and you even got the TLN shout out in there. That was good.
Hey, come on.
A+.
Come on.
The best compliment I could give you is we were watching it. Like I was watching it at my girlfriend's apartment. It's like a down period in between the games.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it was you for like the first quarter.
Oh, sick. Okay, that's actually a really good compliment.
That's a great compliment because I was just like, wow, this it didn't feel like that's Mitch. It felt like very natural. Didn't feel like a beginner. Didn't feel like someone was doing it. Yeah. It's the best compliment I could give you. I didn't want to say that to you like middle of the game, but it's the best compliment I could give you.
No, I appreciate that. Sweet. V, you're still unmuted, son. All right, we'll go straight into mailbox number one.
Am I muted now?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I'm saying, Mitch, I think you've done awesome in the booth. Obviously, watching these last couple of years. Love the analysis. As you get more comfortable, I think you're only going to get better at this. Bringing some of that Pehlke style juice down the line. The funny analogies.
I know. I got to have like that. We'll talk about the announcers, but I got to have that banger. That
you need a fires and scores. We need a Pehlke.
Yeah, I know. What is that for Pehlke? God.
Yeah.
I did like the shake and bake Ricky Bobby.
Yeah. That was more of like a Booker.
Or when he plugged TLN too.
Pehlke, did you hear by any chance Joe B and Mark Dixon plugging you in the lead-in?
Oh no, I couldn't hear it. What'd they say?
Mark Dixon was like, I wonder if they're going to be hitting the frog.
Oh no, that's sick.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh no. Damn, that's so awesome. Dixon's a legend. All right, let's see it. Maybe one of them is on one of these voicemails. Producer Matty Ice collected them. Let's hear it.
What's up, boys? It's Intern Dunk checking in. I'm calling to answer the question of best lacrosse announcer. I really don't think there's any debate. I think it's Eamon McEnany. The guy's a legend. His juice, his energy, brings it. Talk about Larkin Kemp singing it in the 2016 semis. I mean, I think I say Cloutier just too big about 4 times a day, so that's my answer.
Shout out Intern Dunk, the real legend. She'll be around all summer.
I hope he's doing well, yeah.
He's too big. He's too big. I remember that clearly. Cloutier coming across crease. I mean, what happened to Eamon? Does anyone know?
I think he's on SNY now.
SNY.
Yeah. I mean, who can forget
I think it was like a conflict thing. Like he had to pick one or the other. He still does City Lax. I don't know if you are aware of that, like the ground ball thing with the Kavanaughs and Kirst this year. So he's still involved. He's just not calling games, which sucks. I feel like he was just like the perfect voice at the perfect time, like when like lacrosse was starting to break into social media. And he was like the soundtrack of so many of those plays.
I mean, besides Beninati's fire and scores, I think Eamon McEnany has the most famous line in all of lacrosse, the right down Charles Street at Hopkins. I mean, that's like one of the most iconic calls of all time, or whatever they were, whatever school they were at. Right down Hempstead Turnpike too at Hofstra. Shout out to Dukes, the Hempstead Turnpike one.
Yeah.
So many legendary calls.
The time room bullseye. It's the intro to the crease time. I mean, that's like the most iconic thing of all time. I love that so much.
Yeah, it's
crease dive got a shout out during one of the broadcasts as well. I can't remember which one it was.
Oh, really?
I'll find it for you, Dukes.
Was it a crease dive? Usually whenever there's a crease dive, someone's like tags us like.
I think it was that Yale. Did you see the Yale clip of hitting the corner? And it was like a perfect corner. And they said like, oh, to quote the crease dive, like time room bullseye, which I think is funny. They're like, to quote the crease dive. Yeah.
All right, we'll take it.
Hey, there's an Eamon McEnany video on YouTube. Everyone go watch that right now of his best calls of all time.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to give you the chills. I feel like I'm in 6th grade when I watch that thing. Makes me want to take a fiddlestick out to the front lawn like I did back in the day. I mean, the iconic calls.
God, I love that.
Are we going to give ours at the end?
Yeah, we can give ours at the end. Yeah. Let's go next one here.
Boys, good morning. I think a long forgotten for the younger generation of lacrosse players, a name they may not know, Eamon McEnany. Time, room, bullseye. All day, the Motor City Hitman, just a hodgepodge of great calls through his career. Another man gone too soon from our announcing game. Bring him back. You know, I think Mitch might be the next Eamon McEnany based on his most recent work. So you never know. Appreciate it.
This is
obviously not forgot on this podcast.
No, I mean, if you don't know Eamon McEnany, I mean, you're living under a rock.
It was the perfect 2012, 2014, just like ESPN ticker. Mitch, I think a good thing for you if we're talking about G with your announcing, maybe you hit him with a little time rooms bullseye. You'd be like,
I got to bring it back.
And then be like an old ode to Eamon McEnany to give him
I got to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
How about the OG Eamon McEnany's thing too on ESPN? The Old Spice College Lacrosse or the Select Sector Spiders ETF presentation. I mean, oh my God, nostalgic right there.
We might have to get him on.
I
would love to get him on.
Come on.
And then we just have to just be like, hey, we're going to be silent for 60 seconds. Just bring us back. Give us your best one-liners. And we're not going to say one word. It's just going to be like,
let's go.
And then just that clip and we also got to get him on to talk Notre Dame lacrosse.
Yeah, he's a huge Notre Dame guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He went to Notre Dame, I think.
He went to – did he go to Notre Dame?
I think he went to Notre Dame.
Or would he go to Cornell?
You're thinking about Eamon McEnany from Cornell that passed away.
You're thinking the other Eamon McEnany.
I think he went to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he did.
Legend.
Okay.
He's just a legend all around.
One more, Matt? All right, let's hear it.
Gentlemen, happy to be back. All my homies love Bearded Mitch. I think, there are several great answers, and the most obvious, and if this isn't the most heard answer, it's Joe Beninati. It's just not close.
Legend.
The dude's voice is synonymous. He has some of the best calls out there. He's just a legend, absolute legend, and we miss him in the game dearly.
Fires and scores. I mean, God,
Mitch,
he's a legend.
Mitch, that's your idol, Mitch. You said growing up
and you
by
know
the
what's kind of
DC
sad?
area.
And I might be the only guy on this call to realize this. DMV legend, done the Caps games for God knows how many years. Right now, it's lined up for Ovi to hit it in New York. So the fact that Beninati won't be doing the broadcast is like kind of it's sad for me. I'm not even a big hockey guy.
Yeah, that is,
If I'm Ovi, I might be just stalling it out until I get to home game.
Yeah, I think
Beninati have the call.
Beninati was up there for me. Is there any underrated people that you think deserve a shout out? Like, I want to start.
I think Dixon is so underrated. I love Dixon's.
Yeah, like are we going play by play or come?
I think we go both.
What I realized, because I was saying that, Kev, and when the voicemails were coming in, these color guys, and I kind of felt that being in the booth this past weekend, you don't get the chance to do the fires and scores because from a color guy, Beninati does the fires and scores. Right. You wait for the crowd to go for 3 to 5 seconds, and then that's where I come in and kind of explain and bring that color. So the room for the color guys, there's not really an option.
I don't know. Quint's got some. His boom is great on a hit, like when you're doing the replay or he's just turn and rake,
Yeah.
I know Quint's a very controversial one, but I think like he'll one day be looked at like as like the John Madden, like in terms of the voice.
Yeah.
He's I said the soundtrack, like every clip of the last 30 years is going to have Quint's voice on it. So
I can't stand him. I can't stand him during a Hopkins game. I cannot stand him during a Johns Hopkins University lacrosse game. It used to drive me crazy. I actually like him overall. I'm not as big of a hater as most, but during a Johns Hopkins game, cannot do it. Because he tries not to be biased, but it always comes across to me, and that's no like disrespect. It's just like he went to the university and stuff. I don't know. Always drove me insane. I like Kark a lot. I think Ryan Boyle.
Boyle's the best, in my opinion. And no offense to Kark or the rest of them. I just think Boyle's on another level, especially with his use of the telestrator and the PLL. I wish he did more college games.
Anish is great. Anish
is good. I think he's probably. I mean, he's got the big game voice.
He does. Yeah. And I want to shout out one person that I think will become one of the best voices in lacrosse.
I think I know who you're going to say, but go ahead.
Drew Carter.
Oh, Drew Carter. That's a really good one. I love it.
Yeah, he's great.
Jay Alter's good too. Jay Alter's on.
That was who I thought you were going to say. He's got another big game voice.
And but they're gone too soon. But I did love who's the guy that started Brendan Burke. I thought was one of the most underrated.
Dude,
PLL
I thought he was dead. He's not dead. You're like gone too soon. I was like, oh shoot.
No, from just from lacrosse because we obviously no more NBC with PLL.
NBC.
But he was so good at his job and just being able to deal with the flow of. I think always hockey announcers really translate well to the lacrosse game.
Dude, one last Joe B thing. You ever seen? He used to do the old MLL games. If you remember.
Yeah.
You ever seen the clip on YouTube? Classic clip of the Mikey Powell hitting the cheerleader.
No, what'd he say?
You've never seen this? Oh, Joe B has the best call on it. He's like, right in the line of fire and ooh, ah. And then Quint jumps in. He's like, I do not like where the cannons have their cheerleaders. And he like chuckles. He's like, no laughing matter.
Back in like the MLL days, like being in that position, did they even take them like themselves serious? I always wonder that. I feel like it'd be so fun to be in the booth of them just like, I mean, I think Beninati is a stand-up guy and those guys love their job, but I feel like they could be a little bit more relaxed in that booth.
The fact that none of you saw the video means I need to resurface it on TikTok.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Bottom line is we got so many legendary announcers in college lacrosse.
Bottom line is there's a huge age difference between all of us and Kev, and he's really helping us out here. And I think it's going to segue us into Start Bench Cut because there is one on here that,
I have to shout out my guy. I have to shout out my guy, Jake Marsh, too.
Yeah. Yes.
Jake Marsh always does a good job at ESPN. Not at Barstool anymore. He's doing announcing full time. Guy has a big game voice. I actually think, shout out to Jake, he's the best. I think his best sport might be lacrosse.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, he's had some really good calls on the PLL. I really appreciate Jake's effort with lacrosse.
Dr. Jake, shout out.
Let's get you and Jake on the call, Pehlke.
God, that'd be
Paul
sick.
To get you guys on the call together.
Gosh, that would be All right, Start Bench Cut. Let's keep it going here. We're doing goalies, obviously, with the interview with Big Tasty. We're going to keep it in line here. We obviously asked him. We're going to ask you, Dukes. We're going to start out with you. Best save of all time, Start Bench Cut. Kyle Bernlohr versus UNC. Brian Ruppel versus UVA. Tillman Johnson versus Johns Hopkins.
This is tough. I'm going to personally go. I'm going to take the game, the stage of the games out of this.
Okay.
I'm going to take them out.
Can you do that?
I want to.
All right.
I want
you do
to.
whatever you want.
Yeah,
Duke's
whatever you
world.
want.
Duke can do whatever
I'm just doing purely save. When Brian Rupel's saves in overtime against Virginia as the backup goalie, filling in for Logan McNaney, making the straight up save, and then having a Kyle Bernlohr-esque save at the end of it, made it one of the best goalie sequences. I think the best goalie sequence I've ever seen in my life. Starting that, I'm going to bench Kyle Bernlohr's save against UNC in the national championship. Kind of because if he won that game, I think it would have been my start.
Well, you just said you took the game out of it. But second of all, with the Bernlohr save, if I remember correctly, even if it didn't hit his butt end, wasn't it still going above the cage?
No. I'm thinking about
his butt end. Didn't hit his butt
You're
end.
thinking of the other Bernlohr save.
Oh,
We're talking about the one on
got?
Cloutier. We're talking about the one on Cloutier.
Oh,
where
with
he
the one
came
hand?
out and like
Yeah.
strapped
Oh,
down.
yes. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Okay.
All right, Duke. So you're benching.
Well, good thing I know now.
Benching Bernlohr and cutting Tillman.
I'm cutting Tillman Johnson. Again, I said it last week. People didn't like it. Don't respect.
What did you say last week? Any cat before 1990s Dukes does not like you.
Doesn't respect them. Yeah.
Date's moving up. That date's moving up.
What
That
did you
was
say,
03.
Duke?
Yeah.
It doesn't count if you played before 1995. You don't take it serious.
Yeah, dude, people got so mad. Honestly,
You should see the comments on our Facebook on that.
Of
Oh,
course,
yeah, that's
version.
Boomer City.
Boomers. Yeah,
Yeah,
I do not respect old people.
Gosh,
Dude,
that's just terrible.
I do love getting people pissed off. It's so easy.
You think so?
Yes. Do you?
No, I know. Yes, I know.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you should see me. I read the comments at work and I'm like dying laughing to myself.
I can see it. You're in the Barstool office just cracking up over dads lighting you up about lacrosse.
Like just
Love
like
it.
burner
Yeah, you
accounts
go.
together
Let's hear your
for-
thoughts because I feel like Tillman's going to be start for you.
All right. Brian Rupel is the easy cut. Honestly, it was an incredible save sequence. Maybe the best play I've seen in the past 2-3 years. But at the end of the day, the other two guys, it was in the national championship. That was a regular season game. So I can't take the stage out of it. And then if we're going singular save, yes, Bernlohr had the best singular save. But Tillman Johnson had a triple save. 3 saves back to back to back. He was the most outstanding player of the NCAA tournament single-handedly because of his performance in the NCAA tournament. So I got to bench Bernlohr, start Tillman Johnson, and I got to just do it for the old heads that are watching. The gray hairs is when they come out right now. When I give the respect to the old.
Tillman Johnson saved himself too because he turned that ball over too. So he really had to put the team on his back there with those saves.
Threw it right back to Barry. Back to Barry. And then, the stuff on the crease. Like, enters a surreal world that no one's ever been. Like, incredible. I don't know. We're talking announcers. I don't even know who called that game. But I was 12 years old watching that game. And
Hoagie and I weren't alive. All right, there you go.
Were you not alive?
No, I was 3.
Talking about announcers too. How about Sean McDonough's call of Costabile walk-off against Notre Dame in the Natty is an all-time call as well. Great call. Underrated call. But
Just 4 lax rats getting it going on a Monday night.
Come on now, let's go. I mean, for me, best save of all time, Kyle Bernlohr versus UNC was the best save of all time. That sequence, that moment, I was actually live at that game, seeing that thing live, Eamon's call, and that was unreal. His acrobaticness to like dive and fall in front of it and then swamp it over. I mean, I posted on Twitter last week, and I mean, that save was crazy. I'm going to bench Brian Rupel versus Virginia. The triple save was crazy. Like Duke said, coming in, taking over for McNaney in overtime, making those saves on Shelley on a quick restart and a couple others was amazing. And then I'm going to cut Tillman Johnson versus Hopkins. Honestly, I never saw the play until Kev responded to my tweet. So amazing save, but like Duke said, I guess it doesn't count if it was that old and I didn't see it. So start Bernlohr, cut Rupel, or start Bernlohr, bench Rupel, cut Tillman Johnson. But shout out to Tillman Johnson.
Hoagie, I'll give you all the credit in the world as like you're one of the biggest ball knowers I know in lacrosse. When I opened the run of show and you were like, Brian Rupel save, Kyle Bernlohr save, and the one that Kevin tweeted, I was like, oh,
I never saw that, Kevin. That was the first time. that was the one time my ball knowledge.
I'm literally spot on with V. I think the Bernlohr was amazing. Roops obviously was something special we obviously saw in recent years, and then the Tillman thing. Didn't know about it until I looked it up until Kev told us. So, Kev, we appreciate you giving us the
Educating us.
knowledge, and we are helping you stay young. So it's just kind of a help me help you situation.
It's a give and take. I got my Flow Society shorts. They're in the mail coming soon. So
There was
forever.
There was also one that Bernlor had in the pros that was like disgusting.
They had a couple. Like, I mean, talk about
Bernlor
like
was so
Bernlor
good.
just like cross crease saves. Like
Yeah.
he's the best at that, if you ask me. 2023 week 1.
Is it-
AP
is it-
knows off the top. Holy cow.
Is he the best Maryland goalie ever? Or is McNaney? Or is it not even one of them?
That's a
They
good
both have
question.
one
I would have
national.
to-
They both have one national championship. So I guess if McNaney will probably have the all-time wins when it's all said and done. And if he can win this year,
Oh yeah,
he's gonna have a
with
great
his
case.
starting games.
Yeah, McNaney's gonna have
I
a good
think-
choice if they win this year, 2 natties and all-time wins at Maryland.
Yeah,
He's gonna
I
have
think-
a
I
hard
think
case to not be
McNaney.
him.
I think McNaney. I
McNaney's
was like
the
out
only
on
one that
McNaney
got
for
the
a little
one.
bit too. I thought he
Like
was
Mitch
overrated
said,
for some
Mitch, you
reason.
said it last year on season 1. You can just people forgot about him, and you just cannot count him out.
You can't. You really can't.
I think Alex
All right.
Rhodes saving overtime, not overtime, in the fourth quarter deserves a little bit of respect.
Yeah,
It does.
Yeah.
But it was on a face-off guy.
Yeah, but it's Luke Weirman. I think in the time we didn't appreciate it enough. If he did that in Luke Weirman's 5th year, we'd all be like, what? Like,
yeah.
add to it a little bit more.
That's a good point.
Luke Weirman came
Wow.
as a backup face-off guy. Won the save. Everyone's like, how do you take that as a face-off guy? And now he's like one of the like we're like, wow. The good thing about Luke Weirman is he could stay on the field. He's such a good athlete. He could shoot the ball. And now we're like, I don't know, whatever. Shout out.
Hey, that's gonna wrap up 10. Hoagie, can you leave the fans with like a fun fact or just a quote you want to leave the fans with?
A fun fact. Wow.
Just off the dome.
Put me on the dome. This used to be Dukes' job last year. Wow.
I had to
What
bring
is
it back. I want to switch it up.
Let's
Yeah,
see.
I just won't
Just
it
give
up.
the fans what you want. Like, come on, give a little fun fact for the fans.
Yeah, not fun now, Hoagie, is it?
I don't know. Well, you had time to prepare, Dukes, because it was in the doc. Dukes, please give us. your fun
Kev,
fact.
give us one from back in elementary school or something. What do you got?
Oh, come on. Don't do me dirty like that. I don't know. CJ Kirst is on pace to break the goals record. There you go.
Okay, there we go. Fun
There it
facts.
is.
We'll see you
Fun
guys
fact.
episode 11. See you guys next Wednesday. Peace.
Peace.